Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, this is Cliff Taylor, and we are here to poke the bear. Today's bear we're going to poke today is, how do we phrase this? Racism in school. All right, there we go. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to poke some blatant racism in school. Okay, all right, that's a little better microphone. Okay, all right, so here we go. We're going to look at an article. We don't usually look at articles, but we're going to look at an article right now. Here it is. Oh, there it is. Washington School District doesn't include Asian kids in students of color category. Okay, Asian students were grouped with white students to highlight the achievement gap. Okay, so just right there, let's stop, okay? Right here, we're saying that this article is saying that white kids and Asian kids are one group, and then everybody else is another group. Now, that's wrong on so many levels. But the basic level that it's wrong with is if you say that that racism is power plus authority plus or equals oppression, then how are you saying that Asian American kids have power and authority that allows them to oppress, we'll say, black and Hispanic students? We'll just say that. Or Native American students. We're in Washington State for this, so Native American students. How can you, what power and authority does the Asian student have over those other students? I don't know. Let's see what this article says. All right, okay, so this is written by a Louis Cassiano of Fox News. I hate Fox News. I rarely use Fox News for anything, but the original article was on a Reason.com, and I didn't want people to say, oh, well, Reason.com isn't even rated by NewsGuard. Okay, all right, well, we use the Fox News one then, okay? All right, a Washington State school has removed Asians from a category denoting people of color in a report discussing opportunities and performance gaps, according to media reports. Now, let's stop. We talked about framing in previous videos. What is this saying? This is what this is framing. This is saying that because our numbers are not where we want them to be, we had to take the Asians out and move them over with the whites so that we could make the demography of our successes of students to match what we wanted them to say. North Thurston Public School lumped Asians and white students together in its equity report and measured their achievements against students of color category that included blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, and multiracial students, according to Reason.com, a libertarian magazine. This move drew scrutiny on social media. I guess we're not white now, one user tweeted. I guess we are white now, one user tweeted. Okay, it looks like the tweet cannot be accessed, but that could just be my browser. Okay. And what I block and stuff. The school district, located 55 miles south of Seattle, oversees 22 schools, about 16,000 students. The report intended to highlight the opportunity gap between students of color and the rest of the student body. Okay, so right there it is. There's our framing right there. The report intended to highlight the opportunity gap. And because the opportunity gap, like right here, let's highlight this here. Move this up here. Okay, there we go. Because this opportunity gap between students of color and the rest of the student body was not where they wanted it to be, they took out one group of colored students. Colored is the wrong word. I apologize for that. One group of students that is considered a POC and removed them from it and stuck them with the white kids because they needed to fulfill their opportunity gap report. They wanted it to read one way. Now, they should never even have done this report on students of color. They need to stop pushing color. It's economic positioning. It's have versus have not. And I'm sorry, if you look at the numbers, more have not. If you're looking at actual total number of students, white kids, there are more poor white kids than there are poor Hispanics or poor Latinos. By a percentage of the cultural group or by the racial group, there are more black students that are in poverty than any other group. But actually, no, that's not true either. It's Native American students have the lowest, have the highest percentage of their students that are in the lowest economic centers. But then blacks right in there, and then the Latinos. Asian Americans, they achieve at a level higher than white Americans. So when we look at these demographics, we should be looking at the poverty levels. We need to be looking at the economic growth, and we need to be looking at the third thing. We need to be so we need to look at two things. One, we need to look at economic levels. That's the first most important thing, is that, and then the second thing we need to look at family makeup. Research shows that students that come from a student that has two parents in the household and is poor achieves on average at this level. And then if you take that student from, if you take that and you change either the number of parents in the household or how much money the household has, then it moves up and down. So if you have a middle class student with two parents, they achieve at, we're just going to throw some stupid numbers there, on a scale of 1 to 10, they achieve at a 55, okay? A scale of 1 to 100. They achieve at a 55. And now you take that same student and you change it, and you make them upper middle class. Instead of just middle class, they're upper middle class. They get more money. Now that ends up, on average, this is, everybody's an individual, but on average, their scores go up. So they go up to a 60, a 65. You take them into the next bracket, they go to 80, 85, 90. For an average student, not white student, it's an average student. When you then change for ethnic minority, if that ethnic minority is Asian, their number jumps way up. And I don't care about that. I have no negative thoughts about that. If you change an ethnic minority to Hispanic, their numbers go up a little bit. Black, the numbers go up a little bit. Whites, they don't. They stay about the same when you are correcting for ethnic minority. Now, the largest factor, of course, has to be with economics, and the number two mitigating factor is number of parents in the household. Now, if we look at single-parent homes among people, black communities, Hispanic communities have some of the highest numbers of single-parent homes as a percentage of the total number of their total population. This automatically drags them down because they are in a single-parent home. This does not mean that every student that comes from a single-parent home isn't going to do well. It means that the average student, when they come from a single-parent home, is going to produce or going to achieve at a lower level. It's cultural for single-parent homes, and the culture that is the prevailing culture that is pushing single-parent homes is not the black culture, the Hispanic culture, the white culture, the Asian culture. It's the American consumerist culture. Okay? Get that through your heads. This is directly related to consumerism. I believe in capitalism. I believe that we should be able to earn what we can get, and we should be able to set ourselves up for success or failure without too much government intervention. Consumerism is a completely different story. Capitalism does not equal consumerism. You can be capitalist and not be a consumerist. Consumerism is 100% the reason that people are pushed towards single-parent homes. I want for me. Whether that's mom or whether that's dad, I want for me. And I'm a product of a single parent home. I had two parents, and then my mom said, okay, I'd rather go with this person than be in a family anymore. So that's what she did. I love my mother to death. I wish she hadn't have done that, but it's what she did, and I'm not going to. I don't hold a grudge on that. So all through junior high, high school, single parent home. Well, I guess technically my dad remarried when I was a sophomore in high school, but that's a completely different story because my stepmom pretty much treated me as, well, you're gone in 2 years. I don't need to worry about getting to know you, which was, but that's a completely different story. Now, back to economic achievement. When we adjust for economics and we adjust for two-parent households, we see that students that have more money and students that have two parents in the household, they succeed at the highest rates. Okay, on average, again, this isn't individuals, this isn't outliers, this is the average. Asian families have the highest two-parent households in the country, and they have some of the highest per capita earnings in the country, and the reason is cultural for them. Their societies that they come from, when they come from China, when they come from Korea, they come from Japan, they come from Southeast Asia, Myanmar, and from the Philippines, and from Vietnam, and from Laos and Cambodia. When they come from these locations, Taiwan, they bring with, and India. India, absolutely, you get this a lot. Families will come over, and that first generation that comes over here, they partner up with other family members or close friends, and they work their ass off. They work, 16, 18 hours a day doing a job, starting a business. The bodegas. There's the old trope from the 1980s where you walk into a 7-Eleven and you had an Indian guy that owned and operated the 7-Eleven, a la The Simpsons. That was a trope because it was very, very true. They would pool their money, they would buy the franchise, and they would operate the business, and they would succeed enough so that their kids didn't have to work. They could send their kids to college, and their kids could then achieve at a higher economic level, which brought not only their children up, but the parents of those children up as well, because of cultural norms that you take care of your own. In America, we don't take care of our own to that extent. We'll say not America. Yeah, American culture doesn't do that as much. And when you go 2-3 generations in on Asian American families, they are more and more and more. I guess we'll call it Americanized or Westernized, where they start to lose some of these values or replace these values with other values that they then hold dear to themselves. Now, that being said, this article here, this is blatant racism. This is I don't like the results, so I'm going to change them so that I can say, oh, look, racism. And that is racism. You can't, some people would say that is intersectionalism, and I say, yeah, that's true, but this is racist. And then we'll have people talking about, I can't remember the name, but now it is, I forget. It's critical race theory. There it is. Okay, so we have critical race theory, and some nutshell description of critical race theory, which is either state that to eliminate racism you have to be racist in the other direction. So you have affirmative action and stuff like that. That's part of critical race theory. I am not a fan of affirmative action, but that's just me. I think that you should judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, and you should judge them on their ability to do the job as opposed to who they are or what they are. I think it's very judgmental to say, "Oh, I'm going to give you this job because because you didn't have it as well. You didn't have it. You didn't have as a good an opportunity as I did." Back when I just graduated high school, I was living in Daytona Beach area, and they opened up a brand new sorting house or a sorting facility for the U.S. Postal Service. So I went and I took the test to get a postal service job, and my friend Church, he went to take the test as well, and he's an African American guy. Great friends with him. May he rest in peace. He died about 10 years ago, but that's a completely different story as well. But me and Church, we took this exam together, and he got the job. I didn't get the job. I scored higher on the test than he did. Like dramatically higher on the test than he did. But there was affirmative action, and he was given the job over me. I never held that against him. I just joined the military and left the state and stuff. But it was... That is... that's an anecdotal story that provides a little bit of context for why I don't like affirmative action. I don't like affirmative action because it worked against me. Okay, rail against the system. I do like affirmative action for when I was applying to get into a program in the university I attended, because I was a disabled veteran. Now that status of being a disabled vet gets me points, or gets me more, gets me a better chance of getting into something and doing something. But that's not based off of who I am, by no control of my own, but by decisions that I made and choices to do something for others first. And that's where I think affirmative action works, is when it's based off of merit. You should get more credit if you do certain things. If you go and you join the Peace Corps and you spend 2, 3, 4 years working in the Peace Corps and giving service to other people, if you work in nonprofits and you are giving to the community, if you become a cop and you serve as a police officer, or serve as a firefighter, or serve as an EMT, I think when it comes to getting another job, that those people have sacrificed for the good of others, and therefore they should get more credit for their actions than those that haven't done that yet. But that's where I'm going to leave this today. So the bear we poked today was about racism in this school district, and I hope people in Washington State, you get a hold of these people in North Thurston Public School District and say, "You guys racist. You guys are racist," and do that. That would make me really happy. All right. Okay. We'll catch you guys later. Be great to each other, guys. I'm out.